The constellation of the Arrow is identified as one of the arrows of Hercules and is the one, so the story goes, with which he killed the eagle that gnawed at the liver of Prometheus. This occurred because the ancients used to offer up sacrifices to the immortal gods with the greatest reverence, and it was their custom to allow the sacrifice to be wholly consumed by the flames. And so, because the poor were being prevented from offering sacrifices because of the high expense, Prometheus petitioned Zeus, who allowed that only one part of the sacrifice would be fed to the fire, and part kept for their own consumption. Having won this permission from Zeus, Prometheus himself offered 2 bulls in sacrifice, and, having first placed the entrails upon the altar, he collected together the rest of the meat from the 2 bulls and wrapped it in the hide of one of them and the bones in the other. He presented these to Zeus, and he asked Zeus which he would prefer. However, Zeus did not show signs of divine wisdom, nor did he act as a god should be able to, as one who can foresee all things. Rather, he allowed himself to be deceived by Prometheus and selected only the bones for his half, leaving all of the meat to Prometheus. When Zeus discovered what had happened, he was enraged and snatched the fire away from possession of mortals to prevent the favor of Prometheus from seeming to outweigh the power of the gods, and to prevent meat from having any value for mortals now that it could not be cooked. Prometheus, being an inveterate schemer, thought up a way to restore to the mortals the fire that had been taken away from them because of him. And so, while the other gods were away, he went up to the fire of Zeus and removed a small amount and enclosed it in a fennel stalk. And, in such a state of joy that he seemed to be flying rather than running, he shook the stalk to prevent the smoke from extinguishing the flame as it collected in the narrow space. Thus, to this day, men come with all speed for the most part when they have good news to report. In contests at the games, moreover, custom dictates that the runners should run in the manner of Prometheus, shaking a torch as they go. In response, Zeus used a chain to tie Prometheus to a mountain in Scythia called Caucasus. According to the tragic poet Aeschylus, he was chained there for 30,000 years. Furthermore, Zeus sent an eagle to gnaw constantly at his liver, which grew back again each night. This eagle had been born to Typhon and Echidna in some accounts, to Earth and Tartaros in others. But most say that it was fashioned by Hephaestus and brought to life by Zeus. As to why Prometheus came to be set free, the following tale has been handed down to us. When Zeus sought to win Thestis as his wife, having been captivated by her beauty, he failed to gain the consent of the timorous girl, but wanted to achieve this wish nevertheless. Now, in those days, the fates used prophecy, so it is said, to determine what would come about in accordance with nature's will. They declared that whoever married Thetis would father a son whose renown would outshine that of the father. Prometheus, who remained awake by necessity rather than through any wish of his own, heard this prophecy and reported it to Zeus. So Zeus, fearing that he would suffer the very same fate that he had inflicted upon his father, Cronos, in the same circumstances, by being forced to surrender his father's throne, gave up all thought of marrying Thetis, and showed gratitude to Prometheus for his good deed by freeing him of his chains. But because he had sworn an oath about the matter, Zeus did not release him henceforth from every bond, but told him to wear, by way of commemoration, a ring made of stone and iron. Men have adopted this practice, and thus came to wear rings made of stone and iron. Some say that Prometheus also wore a crown, so as to proclaim victory in escaping punishment for his crime. And so, in times of great joy and in victory, men have established the custom of wearing crowns, as can be seen at athletic contests and banquets. But now we should return, I think, to the explanation of Prometheus and the death of the eagle. When Hercules was sent by Eurystheus to fetch the apple of the Hesperides, but having no idea how to get there, he arrived in front of Prometheus, who was then chained on Mount Caucasus. He learned the way from Prometheus, and when he returned victorious, he was eager to tell him about the killing of the dragon, and thanked him for the good turn. Hercules hastened to pay him, to the best of his abilities, the honor that he deserved. So he shot the eagle, and since it was now out of the way, men have followed the practice, when offering sacrifices, of burning the livers of the sacrifices on the altar of the gods, so as to satisfy them with that in compensation for the liver of Prometheus. That much being said about Prometheus, according to Eratosthenes, this arrow is the one with which Apollo killed the Cyclops, who had made the thunderbolt that Zeus had used to kill Asclepius. Apollo buried the arrow on the Hyperborean mountain. However, the wind later carried it back to Zeus together with the fruits of the season. So, that is why it can be seen among the constellations. The arrow lies between the two circles of the summer tropic and the equator. It is set above the constellation of the Eagle. The point of the arrow is directed towards the horse's hooves, while the other end points toward the shoulders of the serpent bearer. It sets at the rising of the maiden and rises with the scorpion. In all, it has 4 stars, one at the beginning of the shaft, another in its middle, and the 2 last at the place where the arrowhead is normally fixed, these lying visibly apart from one another. Are you interested in the mythology of the classical constellations? Then be sure to subscribe for more, as I'll be going through them all.